All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to our YouTube. Um, Today we're bringing you the start of a new kind of tournament coverage series. So the Smogon Champions League recently has started. The draft actually just finished yesterday, and today uh, I, as well as my co-casters, will kind of be looking at the RU portion of that draft. So the people who are starting for RU, and then a little bit of like kind of their support system and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I'm Ming549, this guy 12321 on PS. You know me. Hello, and I'm joined by friends.
And Feliburn.
Yeah, y'all can introduce yourselves too. Yeah.
Feliburn, and I'm the former tier leader.
I'm the actual Feliburn.
The real Feliburn, the non-Lissumian.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So we have Felly, the Fruital, the former RUTL. We have Rabbit, who is role playing as Felly, as he always is. And then we have Kush, the chef himself. So yeah, it's our cast. We might be joined by some others midway through. I don't know. I never know. These people will just stop it and do whatever they want. But yeah, let's get right into it. So on our screen, right, like in front of us, we have our 10 teams, the 10 SCL teams, as well as their reported starters for Scarlet Violet RU. I don't. Well, first of all, how did y'all think the draft went? I know a couple of y'all were following it live, but in terms of like RU, do you think it turned out okay for the tier? Do you think it's like a high power pool at this point? Just like, what are some of the first impressions coming out of the draft?
So I guess as a totally neutral perspective, I was a little disappointed with this pool compared to previous pools because so when I first started, RU always had a reputation that the mainers sucked, and you had to get tour players who needed to play. I mean, it's true. And then as the years have gone by, like slowly, there've been a lot more mainers who have been like prominent, who have coming up, and I feel like their games were really kind of enjoyable to watch. And I feel like the pool in the last 2 years was actually the strongest RU pool it's been since at least I've been around. And then this seems to be almost like a return back to the tour people having to play this tier rather than basically, the managers trusting the mainers. So from that perspective, I'm a little disappointed. Like, I feel like, there are a couple of names here who I'm quite excited to see, but at the same time, because there are a lot of jerk teams basically in the auction, I feel like there's a lot less RU representation than there could have been. And there were quite a few snubs. But still, I'm still kind of hoping for like good quality games, because you don't want things to be decided by if a tour player has enough knowledge of the game going in, what kind of sets run, what terra types and things like that, especially because the nitty gritties, as what like, some people have shown, you need to kind of know them. It's not as easy to pick up lower tiers, I feel, because of just how Terra is as a mechanic, compared to Gen 7 and Gen 8. So I don't know, I hope games aren't decided like this, but nonetheless, I'm still, it just will be a good tournament as a whole. There are plenty of RU options on the bench, who I do actually anticipate would sub in at some point when lineups need to shuffle or when teams start getting desperate to get wins. So I don't think these 10 are going to remain static biscuits throughout the whole tour.
Right. Felly, what about you? I know you're another one of those kind of old heads who's been here for many years, have participated in SCL for a number of years as well as Snake before that. So, yeah, kind of what are your first impressions about the pool? As someone who is also, starting in the pool.
Were you asking me or Kush?
Yeah. No, I'm asking you.
No, he meant the other Foss.
Okay. As a mainer, it's like what Rabbit said. Like, take last year for example, we had like 8 mainers starting like 2 players tops. But as a competitor, I actually really like this pool. It's a bunch of like high-profile names I've played in the past. Like, it's for sure gonna like make prepping, playing, in-game positioning interesting for me. I actually appreciate Lime is starting because I know a lot of people are high on him. And yeah, I'm like biased because I do think this is like one of the most fun pools I've had in a while. And yeah, I'm just like looking forward to having a good record and playing a bunch of these guys.
For sure. And shout outs to Lime too. I mean, we talk a lot about kind of the quote unquote snubs, people who maybe didn't get drafted. Lime is one of those guys who I think a lot of the RU community is rooting to see make a lineup, and he is, and starting even for the technical machines. So, very shout outs to Lime. He's had a great year and very much deserves it. And finally, over to you, Kush. I mean, another one of the starters here, the highest actually priced of the kind of starters bought.
It's ridiculous. I should not be. I don't think I should be higher than Franklin. That's me.
Yeah. So, what are kind of your first impressions of this pool? How do you think that?
It feels weird because we're missing some of the top-heavy mainers like Ashna, Net. So that.
Geraldo, another name that kind of.
Geraldo as well. So it kind of. The top 3 has a completely new face now, except for Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
Because people have been high on him for years. Aside of that, you're right. I'm looking at last year now, and last year was also just a bunch of tour mainstays outside of the big 3. And now there's a bunch of different tour mainstays outside of the top 3. So the main difference is though that the tour mainstays that I see this year are some of the people that are more capable of branching out into lower tiers, like Bihi, Elodin have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I mean Bihi specifically to me. So, and I'm like just broad strokes looking at these lineups. There were 2 names, and I was kind of checking this out, and I was like, okay, these are 2 people I didn't really expect to see start in RU, and that would be Elodin for the Circuit Breakers and Bihi for the Dynamos. So, I mean, we can kind of start there. How do y'all think these 2 guys who maybe haven't had the most experience playing RU are going to fit into the meta, like kind of pick it up, how fast, and like how do you think they're going to do given the overall power level of this pool?
I think they will fit in fine.
He played RU before, right? Like in one past SCL, if I recall correctly. If I'm remembering.
It was
like
2022.
Yeah, SCL 2. Yeah. What was his record? I think he probably did fine in that one, right?
I don't know. I think it did. Yeah.
I don't have
like
it.
It feels like he often gets juggled. So I played him I played him in NU before. I've seen him in RU. He can pretty much adapt to anything.
Alright. And then Elodin, the other one for Circuit Breakers. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but Circuit Breakers was a team I thought had a couple maybe options for RU. Sabella is a guy who's been making some waves in RU recently, who's on the Circuit Breakers. Sabella currently is a RU Swiss finalist. He went 3-0 in his pool for RU World Cup. He won the RU Super Live tournament we hosted earlier this year. Just a bunch of accomplishments that I thought maybe would have given him the nod here, but a little interested to see Elodin there too. Not a bad pick. None of these are bad picks per se, right? But surprising.
Will Elodin actually care, honestly, about like no shade to him. I mean, I know he's like an accomplished player and everything, but how much is he like? He's gonna really heavily rely on teams provided by IFO, and even then also like it's like there's a mentality sometimes I feel some players have where they're like, give me a good team, I'll play, and if I don't win, it was some stupid matchup or some stupid tech that I didn't account for. Why didn't I account? Like it feels a little bit like Elodin to me is actually one of the guys who feels a bit out of place. Like Bihi, I think actually takes an interest in it. Everyone else, Stretch also, for example, like takes an interest in it, but Elodin and I'd say Fogbon Lake are like the 2 mainers who, like, I don't know what extent are they going to care, and to what extent do they like want to kind of like like it's going to be dependent on the quality of teams they're past, basically, because they're not going to take an active interest in this tournament, at least in my like outside perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And
I
Fazan,
DM'd,
like,
I DM'd him as soon as I saw the lineup, and he replied to me, "I have not touched this tier, and I'm ranking your ass 9."
what is that? Is that Elodin? Elodin said that?
Yeah. But it's fine. I do have faith in him.
Okay.
I think he'll be able to adapt.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
also think that. I'm sorry, Ming.
No,
I
go
was
ahead,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
that I also think that Arya at the moment isn't that hard to get into because of how strong hyper offense is. Like, you can just build some secret tech hyper offense and you're poised to like.
Is hyper
win-
offense really that strong now? I feel like I've consistently seen it like perform pretty poorly in recent tournaments. Like, I've seen so many, like, it's still obviously dangerous, but I do feel like with how many mons that have slowly been trickled down and banned, basically, it's always something you need to account for. But I actually won't ever feel confident loading it like that. Oh, okay, I can get like a decent matchup here mostly. It feels like there's lots of things for which it's not good, and only kind of like glue mon I feel like that's dangerous sometimes or annoying to play against is Yan Mega, and if you account for that while playing, I think it's fine.
I think that as an entry level style, it's easier to pull a winning matchup that if you were trying to build like a bulkier team, and then you're just like opened up by some random threat that you didn't account for. That's mostly what I meant.
Yeah, I
So,
agree with
yeah.
that too. I think there's a lot more nuance once you get into the really kind of fat end of building RU, especially with all the different Terra types, all the defensive Terras, all the different options we have as far as like kind of fat guys. You have your your regen mons, your Cyclozars, your slow bros.
First impression
Yeah,
from the
you
mall.
you have your like other guys. You have your like Empoleons, your Jirachis, your steel types. There's a lot of nuance with the fat things, whereas hyper offense really does feel a lot more kind of streamlined in their play. You don't see a ton of variation with their kind of builds. You don't see a ton of variation with Terra types. It's a little easier to get into as like an entry level play style, as Feli mentioned.
Yeah, but then isn't that kind of abusable if you think about like it's, I feel like it's not, you don't have to like actively go out of your way to prep against hyper offense now in the tier.
Yeah.
It's very doable or manageable now. So and I think that like saying, okay, if it's an entry level thing and then it may come, okay, I can basically kind of account for this while building. That's going to be a bit of a, loophole or something. Even like, I feel like, on the other end of the spectrum, stall is also kind of like that. Like, stall's been like incredibly inconsistent basically in SV, even though it's been used basically in some important games.
I
And
do
like,
feel hyper offense has been way more consistent than the stalls I've seen.
Yeah, I agree, but I think now it's not that hard to account for hyper offense, and I think also like it's I feel like it's more like you're shooting yourself a little bit in the foot by bringing it. I don't know. At least that's my opinion. Like, it can sometimes get a really good matchup, but sometimes it just like you just don't have the tools to like effectively deal with the opponent's team, and then it's just okay.
See, I will also mention this. I really do think hyper offense kind of is like that entry level thing, where it's like, again, once you know that it's something to be aware of, it's not that hard to tech answers in for it, and I think once you kind of enter that, like you get past entry level, then if you bring HO into someone who's like expecting it, you're just gonna get stomped. Like, it's not super hard to build a team that is hard to HO if you're aware that HO is something that's on the table. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
this is also.
I also think that
like,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is also SCL, right? So this is not some introductory RU tournament. This is an official Smogon tournament. So you should expect probably not entry level brings into this type of thing, but I mean, with some of the people who are maybe new to the tier, I mean, that might just be where they have to start. It's interesting. It'll depend on kind of how they approach the tier, but yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, that's like, yeah, that was actually kind of the point I was going to make as well. But then also, I don't think that kind of thing. I think that that kind of like inexperience in the tier really only applies to two people in this, like Elodine and Fogbound. And I think, I don't know, it depends on because Mind Gaming isn't on the Shoguns, is he? Because Fog usually gets like good German teams, and then basically kind of pilots them well. Because I don't think he actively builds too much. Like, I saw his approach to he played SSRU in RUPL. And like he had like a pretty like okay-ish record, but he got better and better as the tour went on. I don't think you get that kind of leverage, right, where you can start out 0-3, or you don't want to start out 0-3 and then slowly adapt, because I don't think by the end he was building either. So I don't know like what exactly is going to happen on the Shoguns, because they don't have like any lower tier support. Like, their whole OU is basically kind of relying on Storm Zone and Bird and everything, and they have like a huge amount of talent, but if they're not supplied the correct team, and if they get out-teched, because I think it's also like SV, I understand that it's not too hard to pick up, but I also think that SV is also like it rewards better building sometimes more than better playing. Like, you can have like a really cool like mechanic or Terra type, or basically kind of a nice concept basically team-wise, and you can kind of just out prep it's not really out prep, but just kind of build a sexier team if that and your opponent, and it will pay dividends more.
Yeah, you mentioned the Shoguns, so I mean, we do have all the rosters here too, so we can take a quick look at kind of their lineup. You do have Fogbound Lake starting. You have ZS, who is pretty familiar with the tier.
I think it's about ZS, right? Yeah, ZS. Like, first of all, I don't know how many slots he can support, but ZS has like how he's kind of established himself is he has his own unique style of like these kind of fat, kind of bulky offenses, or like just fatter balances, and he plays them really well basically because he knows like how to play that style, and I think Fogbound may have a similar style, but I don't think also, you can really task ZS with supporting a lot, because if he's going to play NU, you're going to have to support PU. It's going to be when the person's stretched also with that thing, it's going to, as a non-manager, it becomes quite hard basically, Like, it's not like if OU, you can get away with it because you can support, like it's the same tier. And when you have multiple ideas basically, but like when you have to stretch yourself across different tiers, it can become taxing a bit. So if anything, I think Fogbound is gonna have to like try to build his own stuff if he wants to like succeed. I don't think stealing is that easy in this tournament as compared to like other tournaments like RUPL, but that's my take at least on it.
We'll see. Also, I will mention, Fogbound Lake was the guy, I think, who loaded Stalin Sword Shield for like 4 weeks in a row or something. So,
yeah, he did.
He likes fat teams. But yeah. All right, so that was kind of Elodin and Fogbound we kind of touched upon. Also, Behe. I mean, is there anything else we want to say about Behe before we kind of move on from the Dynamos and their RU pick?
I mean, Behe is someone I respect a lot. I think he'll do well, and I think because he like tries to see, there are these tournament players like Roro and Behe who actually sit there and try to understand the tier. Like they don't take like a passive approach, as a tournament player. They take an active approach, like if he's being put there. So I actually think he's gonna do well. Like, to put it mild, simply. Even if he doesn't have a ton of support, which he doesn't look like it.
I just think that actually.
That's fine, I think, because the thing about what Behe does is he discusses it with like players who play. He builds, he like ladders or tests or whatever. Like, he has like a very active and like good approach to like the game in general, and he's a good player obviously. So I think out of like the tournament players as well, like I'd expect him to have like the best tournament player record, and I also expect him to, unless he has to shift basically to another tier, I expect him to like stay in RU for all 9 weeks. But I think I'm quite interested to see what his approach is, because he's had different approaches when SS was the main tier and he was playing that. But I think he'll do quite well.
Cool. All right, in that case, we can kind of just move on to some of the other names. And we talked about the big three before, so the three kind of outliers in terms of pricing here. I think we can maybe just kind of look at them and kind of get them out of the way. So, I mean, Kush, you're in the call. You're the highest paid player here. We've already kind of heard your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I'll just let you guys talk for this moment.
Yeah, so I think, Kush, he's had the results, right? So part of the winning RUPL team, the Crunchwrap Supreme Overlord Juniors, ended with, I think, the best RUPL SV record. So I'm going to double check me on that. Was it him or Umbri?
Yeah, he was. I think it was him as 9-2 and Umbri at 8-2, so he was like technically better, yeah.
Right. No, wait. I thought Umbri and him played the same number of games. Did Umbri sit out a week?
No, I think they played an extra tiebreak, no?
They did, but they were both in it. So I would have thought they would have had the same number of games.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Maybe not. I don't know. Regardless, I think it was like 9-2.
I think we had to play an extra tiebreaker.
Yeah, so I think it was 9-2 that Kush ended with. So, I mean, someone who's been here before in SCL has had strong performances this year. So no really surprise to me that he goes for 26.5. That being the highest number in the pool. Okay, sure. I think it's an appropriate pricing. And I think it's a great pickup for the Foxes, especially since... Yeah, I mean, they don't... No, they have... Okay, so they have, like, Punny, they have, like, Danny. So they have a couple other players, too, who maybe aren't, quote-unquote mainers, but definitely know the tier enough to just bounce ideas off of. So I think...
I did also get Fiend on board.
Oh, and Fiend on board. Okay, cool. So I think,
Which was a fucking snub, by the way, but that's another story.
We'll talk about snubs at the end, because there are a couple names that very surprising we're not seeing on here. But yeah, I think the Silver Foxes, they're in a great position in terms of their RU. Their draft in general, they got a couple people for very cheap that, very surprising to me. Their doubles core, Eternal Snowman, Lurman, even their 7U9 I2, he's like the Uber circuit champion, but beyond the fact. RU, I think it's looking good. Belly, Rabbit, how are you looking at this?
Well, I've known Kush for like so long, and I've used his team for like almost 10 years back in ours. And from when we teamed up in, I think it was 2022 SCL, I know he's a player that just dissects the meta, and he finds ways to like destroy common core. So he has the support to bounce ideas, but he also has like the long experience of building for these types of tournaments. So I think 26 like is an underpay. I'd pay like 40k to have the chef on my team. But that's
They could have spent an extra 1.5. I'll put that out there too. Kush could have been I'm
28k
buy. Yeah. This does bother me, by the way. You see this nice line of zeros and then just 1500, right?
I know. We're the villains of the tour right now.
yeah.
But every time we tried to get like Malekith for 3k, and then he got updated to 5k, and then we tried to get Exotic 64 for 3k, and then fuck! Oh no, we're missing another OU builder. Oh, there's Louis Roman. Fuck it, we're gonna go 5k on him and waste our last 1.5k.
Alchemist, you couldn't have made it just 6.5? Like that wasn't... You couldn't have just made it 6.5? I mean... I don't know. But yeah, Rabbit, how do you kind of make of this team, the Silver Foxes are you?
Yeah, I think... So, the assessment I would say for Kush is that out of the whole thing, he's the most dangerous because, as Feli said, he dissects the meta, but I think also he's really unpredictable in terms of not only like teams, but sets basically he can bring. And they can, I've played like very recent, like just random games with him when I was bored. They just really throw you off course. And it's like, I've had games where like, okay, I've had like this game plan. He just brings this random set and then it defeats like 3 mons and I'm like, okay, shit, I have 3 mons to win the rest of the game is not happening. I think Kush, like, especially since he has like experience with it, like from playing RUPL, he's the most dangerous builder, that's for sure. And I'd be very surprised if he didn't get a record above 6-3. He could easily get like, above and beyond like an amazing record, but yeah. And his teams are also very bullshit proof, which is I think also like a very good thing to have. Sometimes he can overcook, which is something which I think he needs to keep in mind. And not bring shit mons like Monkey Dory. Don't bring
No,
shit
no,
mons.
no.
Hey, that's
Dory
not a
Destroyer.
shit mon.
What are
Yeah,
you
that's
saying?
not a shit mon, dude.
That is definitely not a shit mon.
Yeah,
Right,
I'll also say,
anyway.
as far as like the building capacity of Kush goes, I think it was near the end of RUPL. I forget if you brought this to semis or if it was like week 7 or something. But there was that one Cobalion HO that I think you brought, and then that was spam. And I do mean spam in tournaments until Cobalion literally got banned. So even then, I've seen some variants of that team pop up, like the Feraligatr, nonsense. There's just like a Thrakion in the Cobalion slot, and I'm like, this doesn't really do the same thing, but okay, it goes just go off.
It's not as good.
It really isn't. They really don't do the same thing like at all, which is whatever.
Cobalion was great because it could blow itself up with
It could
Steel
blow
Beam.
itself up. That was the entire point. You wanted it to just explode itself.
And it could also bring down
Cleavor to Sash, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
In that regard, Thrakion can kind of do that with Rock Blast, but
yeah, but
now we're getting into like some
there's a difference because Steel Beam is so strong that you don't need to invest as much into special attacks. So now you can run a shit ton of HP on your Cobalion, and now you can even live bullshit like Scarf Okie Dokie or Scarf Septal Gather.
Right. So
And it's just not the same in my opinion.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Silver Foxes. I agree. I mean, Kush, one of the kind of the higher profile names within RU itself, and definitely one of our most creative builders. Glad to see it go for 26.5, and yeah, Silver Foxes. I mentioned this briefly before, and we kind of didn't really touch upon it, but Punny, the high performer in RUPL this year. Danny, I don't actually remember what Danny's record in RUPL this year was, but he's a
Danny
solid
actually
player.
had a bad record.
He's still a solid player, and I know is like kind of followed the meta. So
Yeah.
reasonable.
I don't think Funny's going to like help in RU a huge amount because he's going to be busy doing like UU, and Funny usually tries to also like to some extent keep his own channel. I don't know, it depends on how much he actually cares for the tour. I also think it's a good thing because I think that for like a player like Kush, you kind of just have to let the slot do its own thing, and influencing the slot can actually like be detrimental. Like there are some slots, basically some players where actually interfering with them, making them second guess some things they do, is actually like works against them. It's not like Kush isn't receptive to feedback or whatnot, but like this is like I think it's better that he's a guy who's like in charge of the channel, and he brings what he wants and what he likes, and he will give you a good record that way.
I did fumble a game in World Cup because I accepted some outside input.
No. Silver Foxes, you heard Rabbit. Just let the chef do his thing. Okay.
Let him cook.
Let him cook. Okay, so that wasn't Silver Foxes. We can move on to kind of the next most expensive guy. So that would be Uncharted Terrors with ZavGB, otherwise known as Stretch at 25k. I think Stretch is...
He's a retain.
He's a retain, right? I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't remember if he got drafted or if he was retained. But yeah, he was a retain.
Fourth year in a row.
Fantastic
Did
retain. If he cares.
Did he play RU in SCL before? I don't know.
Yeah, he played last year and went 0-1.
Yeah, he subbed for me when I was on vacation.
Oh, I see. Okay. I mean,
Feli's the one who's most qualified to talk about Stretch as well.
Yeah.
Again, because he's teamed with him.
Well, Stretch is like, he's a very smart player and builder. Something I always appreciate is that he doesn't build for specific players. He just like thinks of an idea he enjoys and he like builds on it. Like it is never player specific. Obviously, he's like, if he spots any obvious holes, he's gonna exploit them, but it's usually not like that. And he just like builds a lot, and I don't know if this is a secret, but he posts like 3 teams and he asks like Gingy like 5 minutes before the game, pick one, and then he just uses it.
It does show that he mainly builds teams that are consistent on their own.
Yeah.
Because I feel like his teams get stolen the most outside of like Verd.
Yeah. The one thing though is that, like, you know, one thing is that apparently he should pencil in his week 2 loss because it's against Feli and he's not going to win against that. He's scared. But anyway, I think for Stresh, right? Like, because you remember when I did a little bit of prep for the quarterfinals of Open, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I know that he likes to use what he likes to use, but you know, I think it's still like a very much of a style, like that bulky team, which has to have like you know, there are lots of players who just kind of build this bulky, slow, you know, these kind of balanced teams, which obviously tend to do well if you can pilot them really, really well. But I think to some extent it's a bit exploitable. You know, I feel like the Regidrago team we used had like a really good matchup when we played it, because Regidrago at that time was really, really good at, like, you know, abusing these kind of fat cores. And I think in general as well. So it depends on how he decides to kind of shape it up, because he gets a little less diversity in terms of like options for building in OU compared to like RU compared to OU. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what he does. But at the same time, he did go like 6-1 in RUPL. So he obviously kind of knows what he's doing as well. He's definitely taken a liking to the tier. But at the same time, it's not as it's not as, I wouldn't say not as foolproof, but like, you know, there are ways to you know, think about prepping for Stretch. Let's put it this way. He's a great player, but
yeah, I get what you're trying to say. I think, and I'm giving Stretch the benefit of the doubt, that he just wasn't like fully comfortable in the tier, because, and last year, for example, his teams range from like that Gliscor Milotic semi-style he used versus Nat to like Grassy Terrain Hyper Offense, and it was clear that he was very comfortable using and building those. So I wouldn't be shocked if as the tour goes on, he like starts bringing more varied styles.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he's like kind of like Kush. He dissects the meta a lot and figures out basically kind of what's good and what's not. And yeah, so I think, you know, it's going to be really, really interesting to see his games and how people approach for him.
I think for Stretch too, if we look at, and yeah, I'll bring this up time and again, but some of the support options he has, just people to like bounce ideas off of, make sure his teams aren't losing to something random. I mean, we do have Ampha there, who is a kind of mainstay within the RU community. Now, I will say Ampha isn't really known for building. He steals a lot of teams and stuff. But just having another set of eyes with the team to make sure that you're not, loading something that gets 6-0'd by like a Suicune or something is important to have. So,
he's like the new Leaf here.
Yeah. But yeah.
I think.
Go ahead.
Stretch also, usually for OU, he ladders, right? It's going to be interesting to see like if he just decides to go in like without games a lot every week, or does he just decide to, because the OU ladder is obviously a lot better than the RU ladder.
Yeah, I will say this too for OU specifically, and a lot of OU players will kind of echo this sentiment, but you can't really be super like top tier at OU, I don't think, without engaging with the ladder in some way. Like, you need to test somehow. Whereas with RU, I don't think that's like the case at all. Like, I think there are people who could just like stay away from ladder at all and still be like super top tier, very competitive. I don't know if y'all like.
I don't think I've touched a ladder a single time this tour.
Yeah.
This gen, but don't quote me on it.
I mean, because the thing is, because HO is the best it's ever been in RU, it's just ladder is infested with HO, and if you want to make sure your team doesn't lose to HO, you can ladder like 5 games, and yeah, you're good. But other than that, though, you don't get normally the highest quality games. Sometimes if you find other people who ladder, like I laddered against LBN, you get like decent games sometimes there. You
HAK,
sometimes
another ladder hero.
Yeah, HAK. Though he also like pretty much spams like stall like 95% of his ladder games, if not more.
I'm surprised he didn't sign up, by the way. HAK.
Yeah, that's another name.
Oh, he didn't sign up.
He didn't sign up.
Notable omission. But yeah, okay. So that was the Uncharted Terrors SabGB's team, Stretch's team. Any kind of closing thoughts, or we're ready to move on to the next person?
I think we can move on. Yeah.
Okay, so that was Kush. We have Stretch, and now last of the 20+ K buys. So Franklin. I think Franklin was also on retainer. Was he? I don't know.
No, he was in the auction. His retained price would have been like 23K. So it's just it's basically like actually not 23. It will be 22. So, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay, but yeah, we have Franklin. The current RU tier leader, and again, a very proven kind of tour player. He's been through literally. Has he participated in all 3 officials?
Yeah, probably SPL,
so,
World
right?
Cup, and yeah, for sure, yeah.
SCL, yeah. So someone who is very familiar with kind of the tour scene, is very good and has a host of kind of RUPL accomplishments this year. Winner of the Winter Seasonal, the best of 3 record in RUPL, and made Swiss playoffs. Currently in a winners bracket run, I think, in the RU Seasonal. So just tons of accomplishments.
Made Slam playoffs as well. The Grand Slam, he made playoffs with that as well.
Right. He was. I think he lost to LPZ, right? Yeah, I think it was LPZ.
Yeah,
right?
he lost to LPZ. Yeah.
Who ended up actually winning
won
the
the
entire
tour.
tour. Yeah. So, he has quite the reputation. And as far as his team goes, the Spartans, they actually just kind of look super stacked. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, what are kind of our impressions on Franklin in this pool? I just personally, starting off, I think he might be the strongest person in the pool. There's a little bit of conversation in my mind between maybe perhaps Kush, perhaps Feliburn, but I think I would probably give Franklin my kind of favorite to walk out of here with the best record after everything's said and done. He is just that type of player.
He's a complete player, basically. I think if Franklin's like the most complete, Kush is the most dangerous, and I think that's like, how you approach record-wise can go kind of either way. But I mean, the thing is, Franklin's also like a slot where Floss is managing, so he's not gonna go without support, and without that kind of thing. And he's proven enough. Like, the thing is that even when his last tour was arguably his worst tour record-wise, he finished it off really, really strong. Like, he went I think from 0-5 to 4-5. Like, the thing is that even if and that was his worst tour. I think that given just how good a year he's had in general, you expect him to win pretty confidently versus most of the pool. Again, though, he kind of uses safe-ish bulky offense with a couple of good tour techs. But you can, it's a little less diverse to some extent than someone like Kush or someone I don't know, maybe what I expect actually from Bihi. Bihi could bring a really diverse set of crack, basically. So that's literally the only exploitable kind of part of his thing, because I think as the years have gone by, his playing has just gotten better. And yeah, I mean, he's going to be probably ranked at the top of the pool. I think this is just going to be about whether the weight of the expectation is too heavy, or does he just basically kind of live up to it, which odds are you'd say he does. But yeah, we'll see.
For sure. Belly, Kush, thoughts?
Well, I think Franklin's the best player in the pool. I also think that after last year, there's like less pressure since he already had like his negative tour because you know SCL1, LCL2, he basically went like 7-2 in pool. And he also has Floss's support, which is like pretty good. I think it's like the scariest duo to prep for, and you know, whenever I play, it's like it's gonna be crazy because Franklin has his styles, his techs, Floss has his techs too. But yeah, I think he's gonna be ranked first too, like the last three. No, last SCL, I don't know if he was ranked first, the previous one. Yeah, not much to say, just like really complete player overall.
I think the Floss connection also can't be underrated because we have Franklin and Floss have been even in RUPL. I think those were the two captains of that team, right? Of the Tenacious Technicians.
Yeah, they managed.
Yeah. So they managed together. So there's obviously already kind of an established chemistry there, and I'm sure that will actually be like a lot to Franklin's benefit in terms of just having someone he trusts and throw something at Floss and be like, hey, does this look okay? Do you want to run some games? Whatever he needs to do to get his process going. It'll be nice to have someone there in the managing team that can definitely help out with that. Also mentioning about the technicians, I also see Ishtar here, and I'm pretty sure Ishtar was also on their team. So that's like kind of fun that they have Franklin, Floss, and Ishtar all on the same RUPL team and now on the same SCL team. But
but I think Ishtar is definitely going to be like more of the NU and PU angle.
Yeah, Ishtar is definitely a PU person. Like that'll be her main focus, but just funny to notice.
When you have enough, like you don't want to like get too many inputs into like the established, or like Floss and Franklin will do their own thing, and then like as the other team will kind of know, and they'll just be looking from outside, as like but it's like it's again, you don't want to have too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kush, what are your thoughts on Franklin?
Great player, quality human being. Won't stray much from what he knows will work, and I will rank him number 1 in the pool.
Yeah. I will say there are a couple picks that are like very Franklin picks. Like I think he basically single-handedly innovated Masked Legion with like various things, which is kind of funny. Because I've never seen a Masked Legion brought in a tour set that has not been involved with like Franklin somehow, which is interesting. Interesting to note.
Whenever I think of Franklin's style, I'm just like, oh, he's gonna bring the dog. In some way, he's gonna bring the dog.
Yeah, but the thing is, what resist berry does he bring? What choice set does he bring?
I only have just started seeing his actual teams because I'm teaming with him in RU World Cup, and I did notice the all the resist berries, dude. What the fuck?
Exactly. Yeah.
He's playing this shit like it's DPP.
All right, cool.
We're gonna run like Berry Doggy for Terra Dark, one game.
Oh, that's crazy, bro. Terra Dark.
Wait, say that again.
Toppleberry Okidoki for when it Terra Darks.
Are you fucking shit?
This guy's playing chess. We're playing checkers, dude.
Yeah, but yeah, Franklin, a consistent pick, a great pick. Expected number 1 overall, probably. I don't think that's something outlandish to say. And now we can kind of move on to the rest of the end of the pool. We have a few people here that made Grand Slam this year. Franklin is one of them. We've already talked about. Stresh, another one. I think the last one here that we have not yet talked about is Gabriel, who actually did end up winning the RU Open, the entire thing, the entire Slam like run when they participated. So for the Indigo Platoons, they are walking away with that as a Slam qualifier, the winner of RU Open. But beyond that, a bit of a quiet year from them. I don't really think I heard or saw much about them before RU Open. Do any of y'all know if Gabriel was doing anything else?
No, I had not heard of him before.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear of her either, but apparently she was like quite established.
her,
I mean,
yeah.
she made
Oh, her.
yeah, she made like what Uber's Open semis or something like that as well, or like she went really far in Uber's as well. I mean, the thing is, like, from what I saw in playoffs, right? She just again took stolen teams. Like, she used the Vern Slither team, which is like, you know. So I think it's going to be interesting to figure out who is going to supply her teams on this team.
Well, I can tell you right now,
there's
it'll
what-
be like LBZ, or it'll be like, you know, Star, maybe. I don't actually know if Star is kept up with RU.
Well, Star's not gonna provide
Star,
anything.
is Star really a builder for RU?
No, he's not.
They have teams.
From where the RUPL was just like months ago.
RU World Cup. Star is chilling in the RU East server.
Yeah, but still though, like, I think she's a capable pilot. And to be honest, also though, I think when she won Open, she kind of took advantage of the fact that HO was so common, and she basically, you know, was able to profit off that. But her finals game, especially versus Star, were quite good. I think she knows what she's doing, but it's, me, I guess a big question mark is where is she going to get her teams, because it doesn't look like she's building her own teams.
Mhm.
Maybe she is, and I may be completely wrong. But just based off of what I saw in Slam playoffs, yeah, I'm not sure myself. So again, this is kind of a question mark in my mind. This could literally go either way, because I said she's a solid pilot. She could do quite well. She could do quite badly. It really depends on a lot of variables, and I'll have to see basically a few games to actually make an assessment, if that makes sense.
Belly, how about you? What are you thinking about Avril in the grand context of this pool?
I'm actually high on April because not because I know like what she's done, but because this is a story I've seen like multiple times. In Gen 7 we had ODR, and in Gen 8 we had Floss, like those players that went on and won the Open out of nowhere, and then went on to be like big names in the community, in the tier. So yeah, it's like I've seen it happen. I have no reason to doubt like April's not gonna catch up to the title of RU Open winner. I do want to say that the platoons have Scarf and Taka. Both of those guys I drafted for RUPL because because I valued them, and those two work together to like craft the craziest RU teams, like the Focus Punch.
The
Zoroark
Focus
team,
Punch, Zohar arc?
yeah,
Oh my.
things like that. So while I know that Scarf is gonna be like easier in UU, you have a core there that has done some magic in RU and could provide support to April.
Cool. Yeah, that's definitely true.
Kush, how about you?
I was still looking at the replays. I hope I will have more time to form an opinion.
Okay.
I don't have an opinion. Let's
Okay.
just go with that. It does look like she did build her own teams, from what I see here.
Which games are you looking at?
The Open Finals.
Okay.
It looks like
Yeah, okay.
Star got his teams from Stresh, I think. This
Okay.
definitely looks like Stresh's style.
Okay.
He stalled. I remember he stalled Lily twice in the semis, right? Star.
Yeah, very lame.
Well, I mean, she loaded HO versus Entro one game, and I mean, this is not the hardest team to make though. Hippo, Koba, yeah.
No.
I don't know why Entro decided to cheese. Moltres team she brought versus Star seems interesting. Yeah, this Torterra team definitely seems like a stretch team. Okay, fair enough.
Oh, they finally added moving sprites for the...
Well, just for mouse and
mode.
Titan, yeah.
Finally. No, there's Rev Room as well. Or did he have it already?
Rever Room's had it for a
He
while.
had like multiple things.
Oh, he's had it for a while? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah,
Okay.
Gabriel, I think she, again, it is history-wise, like Felly mentioned, in terms of the legacy of RU Open winners going on to do big things in the officials. Will be exciting to see if Gabriel can deliver on that. She certainly has a strong team. We heard Felly big up Scarf as well as Taka's building capabilities. LPZ, the winner of Slam, someone who I helped kind of support on his way up to winning that tournament. So I know he is up to date with the meta. He has teams that are up to date and relevant. So yeah, we'll see how Gabriel kind of adapts to the competition as the weeks go on.
What tier is LPZ playing?
LPZ is
PU?
PU? Question mark?
PU?
I feel like it's PU.
I feel like it's PU.
Okay.
I think I can check. I think Megazord posted some lineup.
Okay.
Yeah, I can double check later
is,
too, but yeah.
This in general.
He's PUing.
Yeah.
Okay. This lineup though, in general though, like it has an insane amount of flexibility. So like, thing is that if Gabriel like doesn't have as good a tour in RU, she can move whatever tier and basically LPZ can go in. There's so much flexibility basically with how many things Gabriel, LPZ, even like Scotty plays multiple tiers, Santu plays multiple tiers. It's like it's a really strong lineup in general. Like in my opinion, at least, like on paper, it looks like the best team, and the team to beat. But historically, not always the best teams on paper in this tour, especially, have won. So we'll see how this team.
Yeah. All right. So that was Gabriel. We can move kind of just down this line then over to Orange Islanders and Rob Jr., someone who I've become a lot more familiar with kind of this past year. So we were on the same RUPL team. Rabbit, we were there as well. We might want to kind of forget about that RUPL season the way it turned out, but we were on the same team. Go Iron Fisters, hoorah. And then also more recently, I'm on the same team as Rob for RU World Cup. We are both on Northeast. So he's been engaged with the tier. I think he's 1-0 in RU World Cup right now. So he's still kind of up to date, playing with the meta. He's seen what the rest of the team has been doing with the meta, and he's a solid player. 9K steal, I think, and we can kind of take a look at the team and talk about how we think they're going to do. Personally, this has not been the greatest year for Rob, like just overall in terms of RU. His RUPL performance was a little bit lacking. I think he did end up going negative on the tour. Rabbit, do you remember that? Can you double check me on that? I don't know for sure.
He was definitely not good in the tour. He was for sure negative. I don't know what. I don't even know if he won a game actually. To be completely frank.
That does sound like an option.
It really does.
The thing is, Rob, either you'll get a really, really good record from him or a really, really bad record from him. He's like one of those high ceiling, low floor kind of players. And you kind of need to hope that the meta is he likes the meta a little bit, and then he kind of gets the interactions right. Because what I've generally seen from Rob is he gets in game right. He'll get 90% of turns correct, but then he misses some interactions on the one or two crucial turns, and then the game just slips away from him. If he kind of has a bit more of an idea at team preview and things like that about what to expect, he'll just generally do well. He's one of out of all the RU starters, he has by far the most sheet games basically. I don't know, he has probably 120 plus tournament games.
Yeah, he's on the first page of the team tour sheet, and he has one of the worst records there, even though he's played so many games.
Nice. Okay, but anyway,
he also needs a lot of support, and as far as I can tell, there's no support here.
Right. If we look at the kind of rest of the list, not a lot of kind of RU names. Nobody who's really topped out in any of the RU team tours thus far, or even made a huge splash in RU Open or any of the kind of individuals either. Maybe Sufis. Sufis he was in RUGL and a couple of the individuals, but you'd have to imagine Sufis is more focused on like EU and stuff. So, questions on Rob Jr.'s support?
He did end up with the second best record last year. I mean, it should be said about that as well.
Mhm.
Like, he did perform well in RU last year, and 9K isn't the most like outrageous price for him. So I think he has the capacity to do really well, but he also has the capacity to do like horrendously. So you'd hope basically from the Islanders that he kind of figures it out and he gets it right.
For sure. Kelly, thoughts on Rob Jr.?
Rob's my guy. I think this is the third year he plays RU in SCL. I don't know, but like every day after the draft, we talk and we actually schedule to test games for each week. So I have more experience with his skill level. I really think he's a great player. One of his biggest weaknesses that I've noticed is he can get kind of frustrated in the builder. Like I talked with him, helped him. So I think he definitely should like get some outside support. I wouldn't be surprised if Rabbit here like ends up joining his team to help him.
I'm not joining that team, dude.
Yeah, right.
Which team did you join?
No, I didn't join a team. I like that's the Islanders is like it's literally the brain rot team. Like clean, Helom, well.
Oh yeah, Helom for sure.
Dr. PhD blowjob, I don't
Okay,
really
well.
much.
They're gonna have to hope the doctor also has a PhD in RU outside of blowjobs.
he did play RU last year,
Like,
the doctor.
Yeah, the thing is, like, this team, like, I will lose brain cells if I join this, so I'm not, I'm not joining this team. Good luck to Rob. I'm not joining this team.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I think he's like a solid player. He just needs like some support that can figure out the meta for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Kush, we already kind of heard your thoughts on Rob Jr., but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit more. I also think he's a great player. I always love getting him in team tours because he always seems like a very reserved dude, and you can just feed him with your own support and he will just use it, make some plays, often win, and make his manager happy. I just wish he'd open that mouth a little bit more.
Okay.
Open your mouth, bro.
Okay.
Open your mouth.
There's a guy called Dr. PhD Blowjob, so he's an expert in opening mouth.
Yeah.
That's great. That's insane. Okay.
The doctor is carrying us in so many ways.
That's insane. All right, Rabbit, I think you wanted to add something too before we kind of moved on.
Yeah, as I said, I think Rob is like literally the definition of hot and cold. So if the managers know how to get him in form, he'll deliver. Otherwise, it could be a bit tough. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's Rob Jr. That's the Orange Islanders. And I think we talked about Behe a little bit in expectations, but we didn't look at their team. So we can pop it just real quick. Behe, we've already kind of talked about their, kind of experience with the tier and stuff. In terms of their support.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know how much Roro is gonna stick to just NU, or is he actually gonna, like, 'cause the one thing I remember from SCL, I think it was 2 years ago in Gen 8, and Behe actually, like, his testing partner the most in that tour was actually McMegan or Roro. And the thing is, I don't know if Roro decides to say, okay, there are rumors circulating that Excal paid Roro to sign up for this tour, which could be true. Who knows? But anyway, like,
Wait.
No, it's a half joke. It's a half joke. Yeah. But anyway. Like, if Behe and Roro decide to cook together, it could be really, really interesting. I don't know.
You're also forgetting Bea.
I don't think Bea's gonna go to RU. I feel like Bea's just gonna.
No,
like,
no,
you know,
no. I
like-
mean inputs when it comes to building.
You know, but I feel like the building input's gonna be like nonsense which people ignore. Like no insult to Bea. he's a really fun guy to have in chat, but yeah.
I actually think
Rostelia is legal in RU, so there's definitely a chance he has some input.
I was gonna say this is actually similar to the 2022 SCL because you have the Dynamos, you have Bihi, you have Luthier, and they didn't really have support back then, and they actually added Beraldo. So I can very much see him joining this team again to just like try and help them once again.
Yeah. Beraldo was like 7-1 on their team last year, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
got him
Best record
because
in
of the
RU.
support.
Yeah, it's very likely that he has like a, I guess loyalty to the team, and then yeah. Though at the same time, I could see Beraldo joining LPZ's team.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But yeah, Bihi, that's the power plant Dynamos. We already kind of covered them, so a little bit brief on that. Fogbound Lake, I think we already also looked at him, and we looked at their team, so we already kind of
Yeah.
went through there. Felly, Studio Gibble, former RUTL, leader of the Bulletproof Bombers, who I think y'all made playoffs, right, for RUPL? Or did you?
No,
Wait. No, right, because you played like Floss,
No.
the Franklin team in the last week, right? And then they kept you
I think
out.
they just
It was-
missed it basically. I think
Yeah, it was something like that.
They just missed it on.
it was like
It
the
was,
last
like
week.
really close.
Yeah, y'all were
it was
close.
Very
Y'all were
sad.
close.
It's very sad to see the combo of Ashna and Feli not make it.
Right.
No, dude, we've never made it. We're
I was
cursed.
gonna
as a
say
team.
never. Yeah.
But yeah, so
It's
there's
crazy
Felly.
because
Um,
every time Ashna manages alone, he wins the tour, and when we team up, we like get dead last.
But you didn't come dead last. You guys came like 5th, right?
Yeah, it was fit.
Yeah,
Y'all
well,
were
you
fit.
know, if you don't win, you lose, basically.
That's true.
But yeah, if we look at Studio Gibble and Felly, the former RU tier leader. Well, you actually personally have kind of stepped away from the game a little bit, right? I mean, how's retirement been? How have you been enjoying life outside of like RUTL?
What
I
happened,
won't-
Feli? Did Regiseal fall off?
No, it's gonna come back. I've actually only opened PS to like play the seasonal games. I really haven't like been grinding much.
Okay, so we have old man Felly, we have retired man Felly, and honestly, a little concerned looking at this team in terms of like maybe support for old man Felly right here. I mean, we have a couple names that we've seen in RU this year. E-Turn made an appearance in RUPL. Gamma made an appearance in RUGL. Joel Lee, I
But
think, is
inside for
participating.
RUPL. Sorry,
I
sorry,
I
go
think,
ahead.
I think
Yeah,
Joel
so-
Lee is playing in RU World Cup. Jovan made RU Ladder Tour. You have people like that just kind of like all over the place. People who've like maybe tangentially been associated with the tier, but no one who's really kind of committed time this year to kind of learning RU. So definitely some questions there about maybe the support system and whatnot. But yeah, go ahead.
So I can say one thing is that I don't think, like, if you had to put one mainer like alone, Felly is probably fine. I don't know. If he stops like randomly clicking and starts thinking a bit more, he'll do fine. I think the thing is about Felly, right? Is when you're kind of confident or sure of yourself, you basically can build a team, and then you kind of just can test with someone else outside the team, like, which is typically going to be another player from like who you're not playing in that week. Like, so as Felly said, Rob Jr. I can imagine Felly and Franklin also basically test a bunch. Felly and even Kush. That's
I'm
kind
just,
of how
I'm
it
just
goes.
gonna hit you up every week. Now that I heard you're not on any team.
No, I'm gonna block you. It's okay.
Okay.
No, I
but anyway.
I meant the chief.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm not gonna test with you.
Okay.
Stupid
That's fine.
screwball.
I thought we had something, Kush, but whatever.
Yeah, but anyway, I think Felly will be fine. I think 5K is also like he's gone into this thing when like people think he's washed, and he's kind of washed as well. But I think he can like now when people underestimate him, he can like actually that's when he puts on like this kind of revenge record where he like will go like he could go like 7-2 and like prove all these guys wrong, and then he'll go like 20K the next tour and go like 5-5 again or something like that.
Harsh.
But yeah, I think the thing is the expectations are actually quite low for Feli. Like again, like we expect him to do well, but like from a tournament perspective, the expectations aren't that high, and I think that actually works quite well for him, because when the one thing I feel about Feli is sometimes he gets in his own head, and now I think because the retirement has made him wiser, so he's not in his own head anymore, and I think he'll do quite well.
Kush, what do you have to say about our Frugal?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
I do still rank fairly high as well.
Okay.
I did put him. I do rank him above some of his higher priced peers.
Word. Feli, I mean, how was kind of the
That's
experience?
not saying much, because he's like the second lowest price, That's not really saying much. I rank him above some of his higher price peer. That's like,
Yeah, that's actually true. Feli, it was the cheapest outside of Loden. It's just Feli. It's kind of fun. Feli, how has it been, like, kind of in your kind of team chat so far? Have you gotten? Well, I actually don't even know if y'all are worrying about prepping for like week 1. There is the bye week. But kind of just how have vibes been for you? Just as maybe the standalone RU guy on the team.
It's been fine. We have people like Tier who like clearly want to help out, so I know he's gonna like grind the ladder and everything. But something I want to mention is we have Nat, and Nat is like an old, like really close friend, and I know she's like gonna ask me to test a bunch, and she's gonna beat my ass like handedly at the beginning. So Nat's gonna be like my way of unrusting, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna go like for an hour straight, getting beat up and just like get the edge back.
That's true, actually. Yeah, I didn't see that actually, but yeah, Nat's like the best support you could get for Feli as well, other than Ajna probably. If you get Ajna in your team chat, that's like our bullies are back.
I'm doing the ritual at the moment. See if I can summon him.
Did he just completely die for now, or what's happening with him?
He's been releasing new like tracks I've seen recently on Spotify.
He makes music. What's his name again?
Ajna has literally been in the booth.
Ajna Ka. I think it's just Ajna Ka on Spotify. Like, yeah, but I saw he released a bunch of. I don't know if it was an album or just an EP or something. I don't know. But yeah.
Well, shout out to Ajna.
He could.
Music career.
I feel like he would come alive somewhere in the middle of the week and just like say, okay, sure. If it's for like Feli's the one guy who can like actually make Ajna come out of retirement. So.
Yeah. The manager difference.
Cool, okay.
Or co-managers on our UPL. That's it. No, boys. All right. What were you? I'm sorry. Was someone about to say something?
No, I think I was saying we can move on to the last one live,
Yeah.
Then we can
So
wrap up the video.
8K, one of the cheaper picks in the draft, but also the newest face did not. I don't think he was drafted even as like a sub for any SCL thing last year, right?
No.
So just like the newest face to kind of this tournament. When are you Maynard guy? Had a very strong run. I think winter seasonal. I think made ladder tour playoffs. Played in RUPL. Had a pretty good record. I want to say he went positive. It was like.
I think he went undefeated. No, I thought he played only a few games because he had exams or something like that. But he went like 4-0 or.
I definitely know he's not undefeated because I remember he had that one game versus Kush that was like. he liquidated into a Volcanion like 3 times with the Barraskewda, and I don't.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I remember that game. So he definitely didn't go undefeated, but I think positive.
He did
definitely
really well.
positive. Yeah, he did really well.
Wait, who did this again? I forgot.
Lime?
Wait, was it Lime?
Yeah, it was in the tiebreak game, right?
Oh yeah, you're right.
The semifinals tiebreak. I remember this very, because I'm pretty sure your Volcanion had like Terra Dark, and like he just liquidated into it 3 times, which was weird.
Yeah, Lime went 5-1 in RUPL, and actually his one loss was to Kush.
Yeah, they're quite strong. Good record. And that's reflected in kind of his buy and start in SCL. So let's kind of just move over to the technical machines. The largest the largest team, by the way, of SCL, 20 members. They have a big team, but even with the size of their team, I could not point you to a lot of RU support. I see Denial here, which is like cool.
Boof as well.
And wait, where's Boof?
Denial,
Oh, Boof too. I just
Expulso.
completely.
I'd say Expulso is gonna.
Yeah,
have
you also
some...
have both managers there.
Oh, men's and
I don't,
Expulso.
I'm not sure if
Yeah.
I don't know if Mens is gonna do anything, because Mens is basically known for stealing teams, so I don't think he's gonna.
Yeah, but he has the
Like,
experience
but-
to like provide input on teams.
Well,
True,
okay, here's the
but
thing too.
I think
Lime is definitely one of those guys who is like, who can get in the lab and just build for himself. So even if, I think the most important thing is just people to bounce ideas off of, which to that extent, Mens and Expulso, perfectly fine, perfectly valid. As sources.
Didn't Lime build like every team in the playoff stage?
I
For
think
Alpha and shit?
so. I think so.
the Hustler, yeah. No, I think he's gonna build his own teams, and I think Boof is like one of the best supports you can have on a team, because they're so flexible basically in just how they are as a person. They adapt really, really well to whoever they're supporting. So I think Boof is like perfect support for Lime, actually, because Boof is a guy who will do things like what Lime kind of wants. So I think Boof is great support for Lime, and I think particularly because he's not like Boof is not gonna interfere too much with Lime's kind of thought process. So I think Lime has the potential to have a breakout tour, but I kind of personally see, because I mean, playing it in a like going from like RUPL or something to like an official is a big jump still. I could see him go kind of like around evenish, which will be really good for the first tour. It depends. I think the one thing I would just give him as advice is trust yourself a lot more than you think you should. Especially since it's an official and some people will be like talking around you. Don't like kind of drown out the noise, so to speak. Because when you trust yourself more, win or lose, you kind of get into that rhythm and flow, and then eventually you can kind of like do well. Don't listen to what too many people have to say. I think you can do fantastic this tour.
Yeah,
Damn,
I think
that felt like a scene out of Rocky.
I do want to mention this too from Boop. As far as like current meta knowledge, he has had a very deep run with Swiss. I think he is he in finals? Is it Boop versus?
No, it's Sabella versus Siri, who was another big star.
Right, it was Ziri. So yeah, I mean, it's a great support option for Lime. Lime too. I mean, you have the trust of the RU community at the very least. I mean, he's a great member within kind of the board and then kind of just the community at large. Has done a lot of great things, kind of contributing to meta. I think we all remember his iconic grassy terrain team that was spammed actually through seasonal and then even a little bit through RUPL. So the building, the play, all there, and yeah, I agree with Rabbit. So Lime, just trust yourself, trust your instincts. You'll have a great score. And yeah, Kush, Belly, anything to add?
Well, following what Rabbit was talking about, especially because of the type of player Lime is, like he's like the very aggressive player. It usually happens that in your first story, like your first play doesn't work out, and like it snowballs into doubting yourself, and when you're an aggressive player and you doubt yourself, you actually play really, really passive, and that's like easy to exploit. So just like take it easy, and yeah, nothing much.
Also, like, obviously you don't want to like make rash plays, but sometimes also, especially against like the experienced tour players, when you have aggression, when you get a certain key turn right, don't dial it down and then think you can just play safe and coast to victory, because a lot of times people have experience of wiggling their way out of these kind of like, let's say, shitty situations. So like also, yeah, keep to your style and make sure you don't take your foot off the gas, so to speak.
All right, Kush, anything else to add about Lime?
I don't really have anything else to say. Also,
Okay.
I don't want to. I play in week 1.
Oh, you played in week 1? Okay. Lime, have fun. You're up against the chef. That's actually kind of funny how Lime and the chef, like, y'all see that? Am I the only one?
It's gonna be kind of a rematch from RUPL because it was kind of my teams against him.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true. In
that's true.
semis, right? Yeah.
Because we were both feeding our RUPL team.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you make the Lime joke.
See, I love.
I
yes.
didn't laugh. I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh, but I heard you.
I know Felly got my back. Felly always got my back. But yeah. I mean, that's it in terms of kind of our starters. We kind of talk through all of them, a little bit of their experience and kind of how we think that they're going to do and what their team has to offer as far as like their support and stuff. So yeah, before we wrap it up, do we want to just kind of give a quick ranking of who we think just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. of strength? Kush, Felly, you don't have to like
Yeah, I'm
participate.
gonna sit this one out.
Yeah, but like Rabbit,
think
you and like myself. at least.
Our rankings are gonna come soon, and I think that's kind of indicative. I also would say that there's no like there's no real major outliers basically in terms of like record wise and like experience wise. Now that I see it, I would obviously like personally have liked to see more mainers, because lots of times you see honest games from like a neutral perspective, like in RU when you see like mainer versus mainer, but this pool is competitive. And really speaking, it's Pokemon. Anyone can have any kind of record. The biggest outlier, not really outlier, but like the biggest thing is Lime is having his first kind of like major tour. So again, it can go either way. Maybe I guess Adriel as well, but like it's kind of hard to predict how things will turn up. Felly could be washed, Felly could be unwashed. We'll figure out as the tour
You'll
goes
never
on.
know.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
The
Yeah.
Shelly wild card.
Oh, I will also say too before we wrap up, a couple of the snubs that I do want to talk about. Where is Fiend? Where managers? Where is Fiend? Like,
In Kush teams.
Where is Fiend?
no
he's
shade
on Kush's
to
team.
any of y'all, but like, okay, he's on Kush's team, yeah. But like, you heard that, Lime? You have prepare for Fiend. You heard that? Fiend on the Kush team. There you go. There you have it. But yeah, one of the from an RU perspective, one of the biggest snubs, Fiend just not being drafted, not even as like a support option. I mean, any of these teams, like I do mean this, literally every single one of these teams would be improved with their like just RU capabilities if you just even had Fiend on retainer, not even as a starter, just had him in the back helping out. So that's crazy to me. We've brought up RU Swiss a few times, or I have at least throughout this kind of video, and one of the RU Swiss finalists, Ziri, Not even just like an RU person, but just
I am completely okay with the absence of Siri because there's no chance
no
I'm getting
plus 12 scheduling.
any time zone bullshit.
Yeah, right. Hey, let's play on my Sunday 4 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck off. Fuck off.
But yeah, I mean, as far as like the quality of player, I don't understand how that was left off the docket. I mean, that's just crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Those are the two that I really wanted to bring up though for RU. Just like Fiend and Zeri, like, come on now. The tour is like actively weaker because they're not involved. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, but what's done is done. To be honest, I think
Yeah.
it's a shame, but like this happens every year. And what I can say is like for Fiend and all that, lots of players who get snubbed end up coming back stronger and then like become like mainstays and like really really good. Like Roxel, for example, I remember there's a big noise that he was snubbed like 2 years ago, and then he came back and like he's been back with a vengeance. So you know, I kind of expect something similar for Fiend and Siri. So it's like it sucks, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, I think that's all that kind of I had to kind of say about the SCL starters, as well as kind of how we see their projected success on the tour.
Wait, did we do? I thought you two were going to do a quick ranking.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't like.
Yeah. Our rankings are coming soon anyway, so it's fine.
True.
Yeah, so we might as well just hold off. We already kind of talked a little bit about who we thought would be good. And have success in the tour, so that might just be good enough. But yeah, Rabbit, Belly, Kush, any kind of final comments before we shut off?
I have one.
Go for it.
Kush, we need to schedule for RU World Cup, dude.
You're right.
I messaged you, guy. Answer me.
I know.
Hey, right now, for you.
Yeah, I have weekend now, so we can get it done.
We can do Hitmonchan RPS if you want to.
No.
Okay, cool. Rabbit, any closing remarks? Rabbit?
Doesn't like it.
He's gone.
Dang. Rest in peace, Rabbit.
Okay, my closing thoughts are that I'm looking forward to what the general tour mainstays are going to bring to this tour.
All right, cool.
I'm curious what the dominating kind of style is going to be.
Cool. As is everyone. Kind of just on the edge of their seats waiting for SCL to really get in the full swing. But for now, our YouTube viewers, thank you all if you sat through all of this or just a part of it, whatever, for joining us today. This video has run for like an hour and a half, so not the longest thing we have on the channel, but certainly a pretty decent length. Thank all of you again. Like, subscribe if you haven't, and keep your eyes out for more SCL content regarding RU, as well as maybe some RU World Cup content coming up. That's kind of just been going on in the background. We haven't really had a lot of coverage for it, but once we get out of the pools, we'll see what happens. But for now, thank you for watching, and peace.
Peace.